Greetings, my beautiful lovelies, it's Emmy and welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp, which makes professional counseling accessible, affordable, and convenient. So BetterHelp will connect you with over 3,000 licensed therapists and counselors in a safe, private, and online environment. And particularly during these times of social distancing and self-isolation, we're not connecting with our community. We're not seeing our friends. We're spending a lot of time with our families in a small space oftentimes. And with that comes a lot of understandable stress. And so something like BetterHelp can be such a good tool and a means to talk with a professional about what you're feeling and what you're dealing with. Also, if your counselor is not a good fit, you can change at any time, and everything that is exchanged during your session remains confidential. So I really like the flexibility of BetterHelp. You can schedule a session anytime you like. There are 4 main modes of communication with your therapist. You can chat, you can text, you can video conference, or you can speak by phone. And financial aid is available for those that qualify. It should be noted that BetterHelp is not a replacement for a crisis line. Start living a happier life today. Get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com. That's HELP.com/Emmy. And join the over 800,000 people taking control of their mental health. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Emmy. Big thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Now today, I'm going to be making a recipe that sounds so intriguing. It is a cookie dessert recipe, but it uses breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs. It comes from this book, The Complete Tightwad Gazette by Amy Decision. Now this book was recommended to me by Susie. Susie, thank you so much for telling me about this book. And Amy's Decision used to have a newsletter called the Tightwad Gazette that would have all kinds of penny pinching ways to save money. So people would often write in and add their own contributions, including this recipe for breadcrumb cookies. So this recipe was contributed by Ruth Palmer from Utah, and the bulk of these cookies are made from breadcrumbs or scraps of bread that you grind up so you have fresh breadcrumbs. It should be noted that this shouldn't be made with dry breadcrumbs that you buy in a canister. This is specifically for fresh breadcrumbs. So this is a perfect way of using up those end pieces of bread like these that I've been saving up. Or if you have someone in the family that doesn't like crust and you're always cutting off the crusts of bread, I typically feed those to my chickens, but you could use it to make this cookie recipe. If these cookies taste good, that is. But that's what we're about to find out. I'm very curious to see what these cookies taste like. The rest of the ingredients sound pretty normal. There's vanilla, there's a little bit of flour in there, egg, cocoa powder. They're gonna be like chocolate cookies, but they're gonna be made with a lot of breadcrumbs in there. Tightwad Gazette was originally published from 1990 to 1996, so really not all that long ago. But this format seems very kind of old-timey, this kind of font, and the fact that this was an actual gazette or newsletter that went out to people, I think is just kind of charming. Then Amy talks about the reasons why she put this together. She said as a younger adult, she wished someone had given her something like this: tips and ways and strategies to save money. So there are 10 painless ways to save $100 in a year, and one of them is baking your own bread, which I've been doing a lot lately. So I think a lot of really practical information here. Susie says that she loves the muffin recipe, so I might try that one next. But the breadcrumb one was the one that I was super interested in. And there's also another one I found interesting using white bread, but it's the white bread and glue recipe. It combines Elmer's glue and white bread to create this kind of modeling dough for kids to play with. Of course, it dries solid, but you create some kind of dough, which I think is fascinating. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is make some breadcrumbs. So I'm gonna grab my food processor. And this food processor is a champ. Speaking of Tightwad practices, I found this at a thrift store for $8.99. Champion. It's a Cuisinart. It's probably from the 80s or 90s. I've been saving the ends or the heels of the loaves of bread. So I'm going to add that to here. And pulverize this up until I get 2 cups of crumbs. Here we go. But I like the name Tightwad too. I feel like it is reclaiming a word that can be a bit derogatory and just embracing the fact that yes, I am a tightwad and there is a reason. It's because I want to save money and be able to reach my financial goals. Like it. So in the end, I think frugality means conserving your financial resources, but that does not mean that it lessens your spirit or your ability to give or to love or to share. Okay, back to breadcrumbs. We need 2 cups of fresh breadcrumbs. So here's 1/2. 1 cup. All right, I think we've got it here. And 2. So that was about 4 bread ends or heels. I still have some left over, and what I'm going to do is just pulverize the rest of this, and this makes great breading for homemade chicken tenders or little chicken bakes. So our other dry ingredients include 1 1/4 cups of sugar, whoop, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Did you know Rumford baking powder originally came from Rumford, Rhode Island? Rhode Island represent. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. 1/3 cup of cocoa powder. Cocoa powder? I just had cocoa powder. Did I? Hello? I just had it. Where'd I put it? Oh, 1 1/4 cups of flour. So we're gonna sift that all together. So combine our breadcrumbs and all of our dry ingredients together. Add melted shortening and breadcrumbs. Whoosh. Now we're gonna add 1 egg. Whoa! Gee, that was kind of nuts. Don't worry, my countertop was clean. That was a thin-shelled egg. 2/3 cup of melted shortening. I like these sticks because they're easy to measure. Ooh, my bowl's a little tiny. Oh, that should be interesting. So I'm gonna add my melted shortening. Mostly melted shortening. And I've got 1/2 cup of milk here. I'm just gonna add this a little at a time. I'm just gonna form this into a dough. Smells like a good old cookie dough. I almost forgot to add 1 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. That's gonna affect the flavor a lot if I hadn't added that. Vanilla's so important. I'm gonna use an ice cream scooper. Measure out my dough. This is an ungreased baking pan, and I'm just using a Silpat lined baking sheet. Now we take this into a 350-degree oven and bake them for 15 minutes or until they're done, whatever that means. Okay, see you in a little bit. Okay, my lovelies, look at the cookies. Aren't they beautiful? They actually look great. So I looked at them initially, I'm like, these cookies are gonna be a little bit strange, but now they look gorgeous, absolutely perfect. They smell nice and cocoa-y and chocolatey, and because I used an ice cream scoop to dole out the dough, they are perfect little mounds. All right, I can't wait to taste these. Okay, I'm gonna take this one right here. Let's give this cookie a taste. Now this is warm right out of the oven. Look at that. It actually looks kind of cakey. Don't see the breadcrumbs at all. Itadakimasu. Lovely. Fluffy, cakey, yeah, slightly fudgy, good chocolate flavor. I think what would make this even better is using butter instead of shortening. If it had butter instead of shortening, I think this would taste just like a brownie. Right now, it tastes nice and cocoa-y, but it's really missing that butter element for me. But it's a delicious cookie. The edges are slightly crisp. The middle is very soft and fluffy. Kind of reminds me of a mug cake. That bit of salt in there is really nice. It balances out the sugar, and the edges have a nice little crispness to them. Very, very nice recipe considering that there are 2 cups of fresh breadcrumbs in here. Breadcrumbs, breadcrumb cookies. Who would have known? I don't taste any breadcrumbs whatsoever. All I taste is sugar, cocoa powder, sweetness, some salt, fluffy lightness. These actually remind me of Italian crinkle cookies. They're a dough that's made of chocolate, and then the balls of dough, before they're baked, are rolled in confectioner sugar. And as they bake and expand, they kind of crack and reveal the cookie dough underneath, which is this gorgeous brown color. So you get this beautiful contrast of white and brown for your cookies, but they're kind of fudgy and chocolatey, and the texture kind of reminds me of that. Those are a little bit chewier, but I imagine as these cool, these will get chewier as well already. There's a slight chewiness around the edge of the cookie already. So if you have leftover breadcrumbs or bread crusts, now you know what to do with them. Go ahead and bake yourself some cookies, as long as you have some flour and sugar available. Thank you guys so much for watching, and big thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Get 10% off your first month by heading over to BetterHelp, HELP.com/Emmy. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo. Take care. Bye.
Do do dee 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 dee.